Well, g'day everybody. Everybody I think has gone down to one, but that's okay. We started with five and went down to one. It's good to be online this morning. This is a started off as a load of reflections. Um, Alan, could you tell me where you are and if you're a teacher and what years you teach, if that's possible, or that if that's part of what you do. I'm particularly interested in tapping into the body of knowledge on teachers on this one. It's going to be a little bit longer, I hope a bit more relaxed. I started off to want to reflect on what I did last weekend. Last weekend was a really special event for me. I was in 2018, my wife and I headed off to do a teaching crawl around Eastern Europe, I guess you'd call it. Amazing places. We went to Slovenia, we went to Czech Republic, and finally to Ukraine for the first time. What a wonderful place. Really was. And we met some wonderful people, teachers, and ate some awesome food. And we then suddenly, about 2 months ago, I was contacted by one of the teachers we met in Ukraine in 2018. You'll have to excuse my throat. I have thyroid issues, and I'm sorry about the coughing. But Alex contacted me and invited me to be a keynote presenter or speaker in their education conference, and of course it was online thanks to this crazy COVID. So I thought, this is great. This is a motivation to push to build all my curriculum and make it Ecamm friendly, to do with the pedagogy wheel. And so that's what I did last weekend through Zoom and Ecamm. Learnt a heap, learnt an absolute heap. And so I wanted to reflect on that experience, and it's grown and grown and grown. But first of all, I want to talk about something, a setting up thing. I did a live event a couple of days ago, all about stingers, and I got a really good amount of feedback on that. And if you haven't done that, do you know that you can actually use your own stingers or transitions in Ecamm? A little bit tricky, but I did a tutorial on that, and I just wanted to add something that I've forgotten. If anybody's going to watch this, that is, in fact, was in the last tutorial I did, please remember it. I'll put another comment on what I've learnt in the last couple of days. Now, what a stinger does, as you can know, is it's a short transition clip. And we can add them in Ecamm Live through using the power of Stream Deck and time delays. And now I'm going to run one right now, and just watch, and I'll explain. Watch it carefully. Now that was pretty slick, actually. I was happier with that than what I've been. There's first of all, and I'm only going to quickly cover this, is when the scene, you have three scenes, and you start a start scene, the stinger, and the target screen. Scene, not screen, scene. And what you need to do is make sure that there is an image the same as the start scene underneath the stinger in the middle scene. If you don't do that, you'll see the cameras look funny when the thing starts, because it has transparency. And then at the end, I've had to be fiddling with the timing of the overlay. And so just that's enough now. And so we're going to move on. And I'm going to start to talk about what I learnt and what I want to do. And hopefully there are some teachers. And guys, we've got 4 or 5 people watching this. If you're a teacher, please tell me what you teach or who you teach, your grade. And if you've used Zoom, I'm particularly interested in people who have used Zoom for successful outcomes in the last year. The good news and the bad news and the ugly news. Okay, now let's get started. Okay, what you're looking at there is my setup. Now, there's another whole subject to talk about, but I just wanted to let you know that all the equipment I've got, and I'm very happy with it. It's the Stream Deck is really important, and the Rodecaster Pro is important, cameras and so on. But this is what I was using last weekend. It never failed once. It was great. There's a couple of things I want to talk about with that. But what I wanted to, if I've done another tutorial about on co-teaching, and Ecamm Live with the interview feature really leverages what we can do with panel discussion and what we can do with interview and so on. But let me move on a little bit from there. And okay, one thing that I really want to talk about is about the connectivity of this. Okay, it's just get a load of this, all right? And yeah, I'm an affiliate of it, but I can't survive without Speedify. Look at the first setup. That's the so-called government NBN, which is pathetic in Australia, I might add. If you're a politician, please take note. NBN, all I can get out here on a farm north of Adelaide is 13 down and 4.2 up average 4 up. They reckon I should get 6, but who cares? It's 4 up. And that's the NBN alone. Now, one of my colleagues in America introduced me to Speedify, and here's one cool piece of technology. And what I do, and what I've got right now, is I've got my mobile phone plugged into a 5 meter, that's about 15 feet, guys, 5 meter USB lead. It plugs into my system, and it literally is out the window. it's literally out the window. Okay, sitting on a chair with the Wi-Fi turned off and feeding my mobile data. And so that's what happens before the conference. That was an actual snap, a screenshot before the conference. I went to 122 down to 45 up. And then afterwards, I did it again. It was 88 down and 55 up. Now, okay, that makes live streaming effective. You guys in America are probably laughing at that, but down under where the convicts live, that's about the best we can get, especially on what they call NBN wireless. So I'm very happy with that, and we'll move on. But notice that it only took 2.5 hours. Zoom call took 3.5 gigabytes. So I can do this. I set it up for live and take it down afterwards. Okay, now, one of the things that I talk about a lot is that it's not about you as a teacher. It's all about the students, and it's all about the pedagogy. Now, this pedagogy wheel, if you don't know what it is, that's I'll give you a quick introduction as we go along, because I'm using some examples of what I did last weekend. And this pedagogy wheel, I've actually got about 25 plus people who are awesome, and these are what I refer to as the language champions. And that my learning and teaching model is in those languages, and more coming. And it's really quite amazing. What I did was that I put the model in. I started to tweet on it, and I said, "Do anybody want to translate it?" And the rest is history. But so we were faced with last weekend an audience that spoke Ukraine and not English, and in a Zoom which lends itself to lecture or discussion. Anyway, it lends itself to discussion, and also unreliable internet, even with Speedify. And so the way we approach this is this is what it looked like on the night of the conference, or the afternoon of the conference. And I had my the conference in Zoom on my left-hand monitor, the pre-recorded, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I pre-recorded the majority of the content, which it wasn't as if it was not live. We were live with blended content, and this is a really big plus when you're teaching. Use Ecamm to pre-record your curriculum. Over on the right-hand one, that's getting a little interesting as well. I have prepared a number of different documents, one of them being the management with timestamps, and that's a PDF. Keynote is absolutely paramount to me and to teaching. If all you're doing is a talking head, guys, you got problems. Okay, even if you've got cool light and fancy effects, you got to bring back the PowerPoints designed correctly, and between that and the power of Ecamm, you can reinvent the effective presentation. Now, that right-hand part of that screen is the participant handout. What I actually do and have been doing for years is to produce all my slides or scenes as a PDF prior to a tutorial or a conference or a teach event, whatever. A lot more work for the teacher, but suck it up. All right, you're not. It's not about you. And so I prepare all this stuff that students get it, and they can refer to it. This is what the participant PDF looks like, and all the links, the pedagogical benefits are that they can focus more on the content and take less notes. The idea that note-taking means that they're engaged is, the jury is out, in my opinion. But what we can do is use new technologies to up their engagement. So it looks like an ebook. Okay, and it's available to participants 4 or 5 days before the conference, and we can introduce formative assessment where we can ask them to do things with it before they come in, if you wish, and they got it with them, and they also can take it away, and all the links are active. In other words, they are clickable. Now, that was one document, and this was the other one. This was time-stamped slide output, or they become scenes, and it enables quick access. Now, what we did, I recorded it all. I put it up on limited access on YouTube. Alex in Ukraine took these videos, and he actually transferred it or broadcasted or published it into Zoom from Ukraine, and it went a lot more stable. And so this document we did for the facilitators, so that if it popped up that someone wanted to talk to me about the aim of the conference, etc., I could tell him to go to video 1 3.29, and we could find the scene where I talk about it. So that's a management device, and it works very well. Okay, so that's how we set it up. I recorded it. We did those documents, and then we went live. And this is the pedagogy. Okay. So what we did was I started live and into Zoom, and used all the multimedia power of Ecamm. And truly, guys, my background is I've got 2 master's degrees, one in education in online delivery and one in interactive multimedia. Now, I did my multimedia in 1999 maybe, and 2000, so it's 20 years ago. I don't think I can even remember the name of the software, if anybody knows that, but there was a multimedia. Well, it wasn't Adobe, come to me soon, but that was what we had to learn, and how to build DVDs, and Ecamm's got all that power in it, and it's the hidden gem of Ecamm Live is its curriculum development power, and it's awesome. So what I did was develop the curriculum, published the documents, recorded the videos, then went live. And this is the first thing they see. I talked about rules, which were a joke, of course, and the whole idea is, as you know, as a teacher, is to mine knowledge from the students. This is all social constructivism. We'll talk more about that later. But this is what I told the students, participants of the conference, and I was doing this live using Ecamm through Zoom. Now, if you think of a question, put it in the chat, the Zoom text chat, in your first language. Let us worry about getting it across to English, because yours truly can't speak other than Australian. So, there's no such thing as an interruption, and this is really interesting because this is really the way you've got to teach. If someone comes up, I have another rule which I didn't introduce last weekend, but it's this. When I'm in a classroom, because what that is, you completely lost me. I have no idea where you're at, and a teacher's got to stop and address that issue. All right, and I used to make that compulsory. Talk about disruption. Okay, so there is no such thing as a disruption. Now, how you manage that in Ecamm is a real difficult. You're sure managing it, because my first recommendation would be have a moderator. Now, even in software like Illuminate 15 years ago, we were promoting the model of a moderator and a convener, and one concentrates on the content and the other one concentrates on the process. Now, not sure where Ecamm's going with that one, but I'm going to work with anybody about that, to how we can more effectively have someone moderator and another convener being even in the same location. I know we can do it through interview, etc. But the other thing we can do is the power of Stream Deck. Anybody that uses Ecamm without a Stream Deck is really challenged, in my opinion, when you start to get really into this, because I create a scene from every one of my keynote slides. Every one of them, I create a scene. If I have 60, and I think I've got in this one I've got 50 slides in keynote slides in this presentation or this live event, and I've got 50 mini movies. Okay, I export them slide at a time, and I export it to a movie, and that way I can get all the interaction, the animation into it. Very easy. Then set up my Stream Deck, and I can jump around anywhere I'm like, based on the feedback I'm getting from the audience, or from the learners, more accurately. So all this is what I have them talked about, and I set a priority, and I said, look, I want you to prioritize what I'm talking about. There's the English version of. You don't need to get into the content, but if you're a teacher, you'll love looking at this stuff, I can tell you. That's why there's 250,000 copies of my Pedagogy wheel been downloaded in English in the last 2 years. Excuse me. So I asked them to prioritize which, after they've, at the end of the module, end of the presentation, which part of it they would like more information on, and we were able to have that in Ukraine. There you go, guys. If there's anybody from the Ukraine, put a comment in the Facebook. And Alex, he's crazy. Bless his heart. He's volunteered to translate them into I think we used 60 slides into Ukraine. We did it for Czech Republic, and we've done it for Chinese, and we've done it for Spanish. These teachers are just absolutely awesome. Okay, now after we did that, we after we did that, this is the way it started. Okay, and we started, the video starts like this, and it's good, and you can, I'll explain what I did with it. Okay, now notice the music up in the top left-hand corner. That's building for tomorrow, and I followed that theme up through the whole workshop, and it truly, I hope, was inspirational for the teachers. I then told them what to expect. Now, there's going to be people here who, if they see the density of my slides, say to myself, they're too text heavy. Okay, the answer is yes, because I planned it that way. Okay, they're basically ebooks, and they're designed, now that's 28 point, I think. I never go below 25 point if I can help it, and I never put out a slide or a scene without an image in it, or in this case a video in it as well. So all the links are active, and I make heavy use of QR codes. You'll see them crop up all the time. That's a great pedagogy, guys. A QR code will be read by your camera, and there are free QR readers which enable you to capture it very quickly, and so you end up with a reference. You know, the thing that they used to put on the end of college papers called references. Okay, and you can capture all that from a video using these technologies. All right. So the most important thing is to get them working in the text chat, in the comment area. We've used, for the last 20 years, we've used the term back channel, and the back channel is of great importance when you're teaching anywhere, and a Edtech back channel happening even in a face-to-face lecture, where the students, and they will actually stop doing Facebook and start to use the back channel. I guarantee it. Okay, now this is a 1 minute video of what the Padagogy wheel is all about, just because I wanted to show you what it's about for those that, and do it quickly. But this was an application for Apple Distinguished. I'm an Apple Distinguished Educator, and when Apple does something, no matter in the education space, it's always done in a video. So, you know, when you apply for something, you have to create a video to get accepted. So this was one of mine, and it's 1 minute. Hi, I'm Alan Carrington. I'm an ADE class of 2009. Wow, has it been 10 years already? In 2012, I was part of the Global Institute in Ireland, where I had the idea of adding iPad apps to the Bloom's taxonomy wheel. It amazes me that the English poster of the Padagogy wheel has been downloaded over 250,000 times from my blog, and in 2019 will be published in 26 languages and available to 5.12 billion people. That's 68% of the world's population. In 2018, Apple China invited me to run an ADE workshop, and we explored challenge-based learning using iPads with the Padagogy wheel. In November, I was invited to teach EdTech integration in Ljubljana, Slovenia, Pilsen, Czech Republic, and Kiev, Ukraine. Continuing with more translations and invitations to help teachers around the world will make 2019 a busy year. But hey, it's more like refinement than retirement, and it's never boring. There you go, guys. That was before before Ecamm. But I wanted to show you, and I use a lot of layout like this, where I've got me active in the round or one of the shapes out of the overlays, the scan me, which is the link, active link, and down the bottom there, that other link is of course active when it becomes a PDF. And that's the Padagogy wheel. And here's another thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about, again, this is not Ecamm. I don't think the boys will ever build it into Ecamm. It would be very cool if they did. But this is called callouts, okay, and it's screen flow, and you can do it in other video things. But this is a first look at the poster, and I wanted you to see how I teach with it. Well, it's a bit of a shock when you first see it, because it's actually designed to be a poster for A2, and a lot of people do it in A3. Now, yeah, I confess it's busy, but it is really comprehensive, and if a teacher follows the question process, it is very helpful to get better learning outcomes. Okay, let's start at the center. All right, the center, right at the core of the wheel, is all about character. It's all about graduate attributes and capabilities. It's all about excellence. And a teacher needs to ask these questions, and we'll get into how we get to it later. Then we have, moving outwards in the circle, we talk about motivation. This is a prompt for teachers to actually think about motivation and think about how to keep the students motivated. Lots more good stuff on that to come. Moving out from there, of course, is the long time most important Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's taxonomy here has got 6 segments, and it's moving from around the circle, is traditionally understood in cognitive domain, and they are all to do with the various aspects of moving a student to higher order thinking. So we will deal in the process of that, where we look at such things as the active verbs and the activities, and then we go look for apps to serve those decisions. From the outside circle is the one that is really important, though it's really hard to try to communicate this visually on a poster. But that's all about SAMR model. That's all about substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. This is all about how to design activities with the technology, and we'll talk a lot about that. Now, on the outside, of course, there's really important information. On the left-hand side there's the app selection criteria, and there's a lot of work we can do in that area, and we'll do that in another module, talking about how do you decide if an app is good for remembering or is good for creating. Then underneath, of course, that's all the attribution part of it, based on some very fine research. Moving across to the right there, on the right-hand panel, it's in fact on how to use it. And so we go through the grids, and we will talk about that now in this module. Okay, that was the way I did video. I do video like that all the time, but the call-out feature is really, really interesting. Now I want to get down to the pedagogy. And this is all about how we get responses from the students. Now, I did stage 1, basic. I did a text document, which for myself primarily, and I outlined multiple choice questions that I've used before and formulated all them into a document, and then I just added it to the text chat as the video was running. Now, a moderator can do that if you're doing it live, but you've got to get them committed to developing a learning culture. Now, that was the basic one, okay. And let me see if I got this one right. Yep. Okay. The next level up is to start to use external apps. Okay. Now, what we did, what I strongly recommended, I'm sorry about that. What I'm strongly recommended is that the 101, this website, it's really worth a lot of time, teachers, because it lists 101 educational apps, which has been updated for 2020, and each one of those apps, it's worth thinking through how you could use that in Ecamm. And if any of the Ecamm guys are watching, or if you, let me put it another way, I put it in my traditional educational speak understanding from my university days. Guys, this is an educational grant waiting to happen. It really is. If I was still at the University of Adelaide, I would write up, I'd find a couple of really good teachers, and all of us, and I did it time and time again. I didn't instigate it. I was on every one of their educational grants, and I would apply for money to do the research to see which of these 101 apps and others would be the best run, how to manage them in Ecamm, and feed them into conferencing systems like Zoom, so that we can in fact smash. Now, what app smashing in the Apple Distinguished Educator world is, we take the output of one app and we make it the input of something else. So what the two highlighted ones there I've got is Kahoot and Padlet. Now, the two that I've used a lot. There's other Puzzlet's another good one. These are not the top, most popular or anything. They're just listed, okay, and that's only 30 of 101. But you got to look for student response mechanisms so that you can build and use the pedagogy wheel to build redefining activities, utilizing your chosen app or chosen technology, and design your activities so that they are higher order thinking. And that's when you'll get the students going, wow. You won't have any engagement problems. And sitting there boring listening, right? You'll have them engaged because they're doing stuff, it's real, and so on. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on doing this, but I do want to spend just a little bit more time on Kahoot. Is there anybody watching this that doesn't look like there is? Oh yes, there's 5 people. Sorry, I was looking for where the viewers were. If there's anybody here that's used any of these apps, will you please put them down? Anybody that used any app in Zoom and it was highly successful, let me know that too, because I may never have heard of it. Okay, so here is an introduction to Kahoot.
Hi, we're Kahoot. We're on a mission to make learning awesome. Our game-based learning platform is used by millions of people all over the world. Teachers, students, company employees, and lifelong learners. Kahoot makes it easy to create fun learning games or trivia quizzes in minutes, anytime, anywhere. We call them Kahoots. It works for any subject, in any language, on any device. You can also discover and play existing games. There are millions of Kahoots in our library. Kahoot can be played in a live setting with questions on a big screen, or on your mobile device where you see questions and answers on one screen. As well as in schools, Kahoot is played in companies, at events, and even parties to make learning awesome. Sign up today at kahoot.com. Let's play!
Okay. Am I on? Yes, my mic's on. If you haven't used Kahoot, you've missed out. It's got the characteristics of a game played in the K-12 space with little people, and you'd be absolutely astounded. Kahoot, not Labour. I'm sorry. Okay, but not in Zoom. Anybody that wants to join me for some work on this, please just reach out and connect. But I'm telling you, I've watched profs, and you know how status conscious they are, professors, and I've watched these very top of the game people, some of the smartest in the country, play Kahoot simply because it's fun, okay, but it's more than fun. So this is the way I introduced it. I introduced Padlet and Kahoot, not last weekend, but this is what I'll be doing in future. Okay, one of the concepts I talk about is backward design, and we won't go into what all that's about. Fascinating stuff. It's designing, teaching and learning from the finish back to the start. Wonderful concept. But I put up a scene like this, and they can go to Kahoot, and it's time, tick, 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 okay, and it's got a teacher face and interface and a student interface. They're working on their phones, and you can feed. And how we do this is got to be practiced. I know there's screen sharing, etc., but the only way to get it smooth is to practice it, and we can bring up the teacher input. So we can ask a question to 100 students around the world, anywhere, about an opinion, and get an answer for it and put it up on the screen in real time. And you can say, they tell you who's answering, who's not, right? And I'll tell you, wow, do you know 82% of you believe this? We got a problem, guys. And that sort of feedback, it's really quite amazing. So, but just to give you an idea how sophisticated a K-12 gaming platform can be, just watch this.
Kahoot is an online gaming system that allows the students to either use a laptop or their phone or any other portable device to answer a quiz. So you put up a question, they have a certain amount of time to answer the question, and then they select their answer. And then you get instant results, and you know how many people scored correctly, incorrectly. You get to see the response rate for the different responses, and then you can go on. And students receive points based on how quickly they respond and if they have the correct answer. Don't understand the logarithm, but that's okay. The students see the points and they're excited about the points. So it gives them some immediate feedback. It also gives the faculty some immediate feedback. And it's very simple to use. The answers have different shapes and sizes associated with them, shapes and colors associated with them. And so they just click on like the red triangle, the blue square, the yellow circle, things like that. So it's very easy for them to use. It's used in K-12 up through higher education, but a really good instant feedback system. So I did something a little different with Kahoot. I kind of took it and made it my own. I'm really big on formative evaluation and helping the students to understand what they know and what they don't know during a class session. So for the topic I was teaching, which was evidence-based practice and research for nursing, it was towards the end of the semester. And I wanted to see if they really had a handle on the different terms and how to critique an article. So I gave them 2 articles to read before they came to class. That was their pre-work. And I had developed questions based on the articles. And they were both qualitative articles, but then what I did is I put up questions related to sampling, methods, analysis, discussion, all those population, all those other different parts of a research study. And they had to answer questions related to it. And so first they would answer 5 questions, 6 questions from Article A, and then 6 questions from Article B. But what I did, instead of the rapid gaming fashion that Kahoot was designed for, I slowed it down. So after each question, we spent a good 5 to 10 minutes talking about why the different responses were wrong, to help them get a better understanding of why the correct answer was the correct answer. And then, since they were both qualitative articles, I said, okay, now how would this be different for a quantitative article? So they had to, it's a higher level thinking. They had to take their knowledge from qualitative and compare and contrast it to quantitative.
Okay. Now that should work, shouldn't it? Yep. Okay. I'm not sure who did that, who said that, but it's a good point, and it does actually get engagement. So that's Kahoot, and please, if anybody's got any hints on managing Kahoot through your virtual cameras in Ecamm and how to get it into Zoom and make it look really smooth and, dare I say, professional, please do so. Please do so. And finally, another thing that is absolutely vital for all learning events, I'm not calling this one fall into this category. I haven't done an evaluation on this, but if I was talking to a load of students, I really would, and that is evaluation. And so I use two ways to do it. I give them Kahoot activity to evaluate it, and I give them Padlet, which is open-ended, more a discussion type thing. And so that is how I use the two technologies. Now, this one's just a reference one. I'm not going to go into it. It's 22 minutes, but take a note of it. When you hold the video later, go to the site. It's got 22 minutes. He's very English, but a good teacher, and it's a load of great stuff. All right, now there's one other thing that I want to talk about this morning, and that is social constructivism, or how do we build. How do we mine all this knowledge? We can't do it, and especially if we had 300 or 400 students in a big group in a MOOC type thing, a massive open online conference course rather. All right, so this is to do with breakout rooms. Is there anybody else that? Now that's interesting, Jennifer. You put it about NDI. I'll come back to that in a second. All right. What has anybody used the breakout rooms in Zoom? If they have, please connect with me. I'd like to know what your experience has been with them, and what the good news is and the bad news is, and how effectively they work for teachers. So here's a short introduction to breakout rooms.
Hey everyone, Farah from Zoom here. On this brief video, we're going to show you how you can leverage our breakout room feature to take a large meeting or virtual classroom and split it up into smaller groups or sessions. You'll see that I have already enabled the breakout room feature, which you can find in your settings along the bottom. And that breakout room button will actually be right here. This is a button that only your hosts or co-hosts will be able to see. And right now we don't have a co-host in the session. If I manage my participants, I can hover over Catherine, for example, to make her a co-host. So she'll see this button now as well. When we're ready to split the group into smaller sessions, I can easily click this button to get a pop-up window asking me how many rooms I'd like to assign out and how many participants per room. For this example, it's recommending, since there are 6 people, we can split it up into 2 rooms. I can do this automatically or manually. So if we click on the automatic button, it'll generate those breakout rooms for us. Certainly if there's anyone I want to swap out, maybe I want to move Michael to the other room, I can exchange him for a different participant. Once I'm ready to open all rooms, I'll click this open all rooms button, and our participants will be able to join the sessions that we've created for them. So we'll slowly see those people join. One thing that's really important to note is that as a host or a co-host, you can actually hop between the different rooms to talk to the participants. You can see here, I have the join button. Now everybody's left to go to the rooms. I can broadcast a message to everybody and say, wrapping up in 1 minute. And this will broadcast the message. And then I can close the rooms, which gives them a 1-minute timer to rejoin our session. We'll give everybody a second to rejoin, and I'll show you 1 or 2 additional features with breakout rooms. There we go. We can kind of see everybody kind of popping back in. Now everybody's rejoined the main session. You'll see that I have the opportunity to reopen these rooms again, which is really great. If you have a very long session or a very long virtual class, you can split into these virtual smaller groups as often as you'd like. And the additional options here will allow you to automatically close breakout rooms after a specified amount of time. You can also change the countdown timer to be 30 seconds or 2 minutes if you like. I'll show you a setting where you can also pre-assign folks to be in your breakout room before the classroom starts. You'll want to navigate over to the class that's already been created in your Zoom portal. Under the Meetings tab, you can find your meeting. Scrolling all the way to the bottom, you'll see if we open this to re-edit it, I have the opportunity to pre-assign a breakout room here, and I can create the rooms and upload a CSV with all of my participants in advance so that their names are already populated in the room when I start the session. That's basically how you can run breakout rooms. We hope you found this video helpful. If you have any additional questions, please visit us at support.zoom.us. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.
Jennifer, NDI, as I understand it, is a technology. I'm a little confused as the context of what you're saying. Can you, NDI, how would we use NDI? Maybe it's the risk of being a teacher asking a question that, or bouncing the question back. But for the life of me, I can't think how NDI would be used other than how we connect the technologies. We're not talking about that. We're talking about connecting the input and output of the stuff together. We can do it wirelessly. We can do it all sorts of different ways. But that's a great question and to study. Okay, now here again, this is the same teacher. I'm not going there, but you can note it, and he's got another, I don't know, 22 minutes on how to use Zoom breakout rooms. Zoom, if you're going to use Zoom for education, breakout rooms are really a must. And I'm looking forward to working with more people on how to set them up. We had breakout room. We did 360 students in 11 from memory universities across Australia and New Zealand in Illuminate, which was the software that started it all in this video conferencing stuff. Zoom's only a new iteration of it, but you know, it's doable and it's manageable. But what you need as a teacher, you concentrate on building resources on facilitation. It's not the technology, it's how the people manage the learning process in the room. You need a leader or a facilitator, and those skills are not lecturing skills. And it's how to bring the best out of the people and do it quickly. Okay. That's almost about all of what I want to talk about. But I do want to say this. Thank you for watching. And this, I'm going to make it again. I'm going to do this until the 25th on everything I produce. But my wife and I wanted to wish you all a very happy Christmas. Stay safe. Have a good season. Have a focused, peaceful experience. And happy Christmas. I love that. I've never heard that carol so funky before. But finally, this is going to go up on YouTube, and I'm going to tweet it out to thousands of teachers, which is who follow me on Twitter. And so I expect there'll be people who've never heard of Ecamm or only heard of it quickly. And I wanted to just encourage everybody. And yeah, it's true. I'm an affiliate of Ecamm Live. this to me, and I've got national awards to prove I know what I'm talking about, Ecamm Live is a game changer in education, and we can return the value of PowerPoints or keynotes. We can make everything interactive multimedia using Ecamm, and if you've never evaluated it, please do. And there's my offer. If you use my affiliate link at the bottom, that takes you to, it looks just like Ecamm Live looks to everybody, except if you buy something, I get a slice of it. And for that, I'll give you an hour's consultancy at a minimum. I never just give an hour consultancy, but I'm not promising. Okay, that's always more. And I like to set up some collaboration with you. So last thing, please follow Designing Outcomes Facebook page.